The girl who couldn't walk, Mira, lay still on her bed, staring at the ceiling of her small room. Outside the window, the stars were shining, but her world felt small and heavy. She was 17 years old and hadn't walked since she was 7. A car accident had taken that from her. Doctors said she would never walk again. But tonight, something was different. She had a dream. In the dream, she was running, not just walking, but running fast across red sand under a purple sky. There were 2 moons above her and a strange ship flying overhead. She felt free, powerful. And then, she woke up. Her heart was beating fast. Her legs were still numb, still broken. But her mind felt alive. She moved her wheelchair closer to the window. It was a quiet night in her small town. But as she looked up, something caught her eye. A strange light was moving in the sky, too slow to be a shooting star, too fast to be a plane. It was glowing blue, like ice fire. The light moved lower, and then suddenly shot across the sky and disappeared behind the forest near her house. There was a soft boom, not like thunder, more like something heavy landing. Mira's eyes widened. Her parents were asleep. She quietly grabbed her small backpack, always ready with tools, wires, and her tablet. Her chair moved silently across the floor. The house was dark and still. She opened the back door and rolled out into the night. The grass was wet, the air cold, but she didn't care. She followed the direction of the blue light. It wasn't far, maybe half a mile. Her electric wheelchair made soft hums as it moved over the uneven ground. Trees grew thicker. She entered the edge of the forest. And then, she saw it, a small crater. Smoke rose gently from the center. Inside was a strange metal object, smooth, silver, and glowing faintly. It was shaped like an egg, but larger than a football. Blue lines ran across its surface like veins. Mira's heart pounded. She slowly approached. The object made no sound, no heat. She reached out and touched it. The moment her fingers made contact, the forest around her changed. Trees vanished. The stars above turned into swirling lights. She was floating. A voice, not male, not female, spoke inside her mind. Human subject detected. Neural match confirmed. Activation begins. The object opened like a flower. A thin beam of light scanned her from head to toe. Mira couldn't move. She wasn't scared, just frozen in wonder. Images flashed in her mind. Galaxies, planets, creatures she had never seen, machines flying in silence, humans in powerful armor, walking among stars. And then the voice said, "You are not broken. You are unfinished." The vision ended. The forest returned. The object had closed again, but now it looked different, like a sleeping machine waiting for a command. Mira blinked. Her hands were shaking. Her legs still couldn't move, but something inside her had changed. She took the object and placed it carefully in her backpack. It was light, like plastic, but she knew it wasn't anything from Earth. Back in her room, she examined it under her lamp. Her fingers found a small symbol on the surface. It lit up under her touch, showing a soft blue glow. She didn't understand the language, but it felt familiar, almost like her dream. She connected the object to her tablet. Nothing happened for a few seconds. Then suddenly, lines of code appeared on the screen, symbols she had never seen before, but her tablet began translating them. Slowly, a message formed. Message received. Subject Mira. Location, Earth Sector 7. Status, potential activation. Phase 1 ready. Mira stared at the words. What does that mean? She whispered. Then the screen showed something impossible. An image of her. Standing, walking, running in a suit of silver armor. Her legs moved perfectly. Her eyes glowed like the stars. She felt tears on her cheeks. For the first time in years, she didn't feel broken. She felt chosen. Narrator voice, third-person style. In a part of the galaxy no one cared to name. A stolen spaceship drifted in silence. Not broken, not dead. Just hiding. Inside that ship was Kale, not a hero, not a warrior, just a mistake. A mistake. His people wanted to erase. Kale was not like others from his world. His skin had the color of burnt steel, his eyes a cold silver. His race was proud, powerful, cruel. They ruled many systems. And they hated weakness. Kale had done something unforgivable. He had helped a human not long ago. During a failed mission to Earth, Kale found a human child hiding from war. The order was simple: leave no survivors. But Kale couldn't do it. He broke the rule. He saved her. And for that, he was punished. They took his rank, burned his name. Now every system had his face on bounty posters. Kale sat in the dark, staring at the stars through a cracked window. His ship was running low on power, no fuel, no allies, no future. But then, a sound, a strange signal hit his ship's old receiver. Not just static, it was a message. Faint, ancient, but real. He leaned closer. The voice was weak but full of something he hadn't heard in years: hope. To anyone out there. Please, I saw something. I think it was me. Walking. It was in Earth's language, a human voice. A girl. Kale's heart beat faster. This wasn't just a message, it was a call. And it came from Earth. He didn't know who the girl was. But the words felt important, almost like fate. He reached for the console with shaky hands and began decoding the signal. A set of coordinates appeared. A location on the edge of Earth. And next to that, something even stranger. A forgotten code, hidden in the signal's wave. An old symbol, ancient tech. Human tech. But enhanced, something his people said didn't exist. Impossible. He whispered. His ship gave a warning. Low fuel. Unsafe to travel. Kale ignored it. Set course for Earth. He said. The journey was long and dangerous. He flew through banned space. Past dying stars and broken satellites. He fought sleep. He fought fear. But as Earth appeared on the screen, blue, quiet, ignored by the galaxy, Kale felt something strange. Like gravity pulling him in, but not physical gravity. Something deeper. Then his ship suddenly shook. Lights blinked. Alarms screamed. Boom. He had crossed an invisible barrier. Warning. Earth is under observation. Unauthorized entry is restricted. Kale. Cursed. Of course they're watching. She's not normal, is she? He took the controls manually. Flames danced outside the glass as the ship crashed through the atmosphere. Trees rushed up fast. Crash. Darkness. Hours passed. Birds flew above a smoking crater. Kale opened his eyes, blood dripping from his forehead. He pushed open the hatch. Earth's air smelled strange, natural, soft. Peaceful. Too peaceful. He stumbled out, every muscle aching. His ship was ruined. He fell to his knees. I came this far. For what? He groaned. Then he saw her, a girl, standing at the edge of the forest. She looked scared, but curious. She had a brace on her legs. And big, searching eyes. Kale froze. You sent the signal, he said. Girl nodded slowly. You're real? Kale almost smiled. So are you, narrator. They stared at each other, a broken alien. A disabled girl. Two beings that didn't belong anywhere, but the universe had other plans. She took a step forward, limping, dragging one leg. He took a step too, bleeding, exhausted. One human. One alien, neither strong, neither welcome, but together? Together. They would change everything. Narrator voice, third person. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Not the peaceful kind, the kind before a storm. Leaves didn't rustle. Birds didn't sing. It was like the earth was holding its breath. In the center of a smoking crater, a broken alien ship rested, half buried in dirt. Black smoke climbed into the gray sky, and nearby, A girl hid behind a tree, watching. Her name was Mira. Her legs were weak, held up by old braces. But her eyes were sharp, curious, careful. She had followed the light in the sky. She had heard the crash. And now she was staring at something not from this world. The alien Kale lay on the ground, coughing. His arm was bleeding, his clothes torn. He didn't move at first. But then he felt it. Eyes. Someone was watching. Slowly, painfully he sat up. His silver eyes scanned the trees. And then he saw her, a girl, thin, small, standing awkwardly. Not afraid, just frozen. Their eyes locked. Seconds passed. Neither spoke. Then Kale stood, just barely. "You sent the signal," he said, his voice low and rough. Myra's mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked at his face, his strange skin, the metal symbols on his neck. She had never seen anything like him. I didn't mean to send anything," she finally whispered. Kale tilted his head. "But you did." Something answered. "You woke up the beacon." Mira stepped forward, carefully, dragging one leg. "You came from space?" Kale nodded. "And crashed, thanks to your planet's lovely welcome." Myra's lips twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. "I have a place," she said. "To hide. You look like you need it." Kale looked around, then at her. "You're not afraid of me?" She shook her head slowly. "No, should I be?" Kale didn't answer. He just followed. They walked, or rather, Mira limped, and Kale stumbled, through the woods, then across the field behind her house. No one saw them, no one cared. That was the kind of town it was. Mira opened the door to her basement. It was old, dusty, full of wires and machines she had built from junk. "Welcome to Earth," she said. Kale collapsed onto an old mattress. "Smells like rust." "Smells like home," she replied, sitting nearby. Hours passed. Kale rested. Mira watched. Then she asked, "Why me? Why come for a message from someone like me?" Kale opened his eyes. "You're not just someone," he said. "Your signal wasn't normal. It carried an echo, a code. Something ancient, something your people weren't supposed to have." Mira frowned. "You mean the drone?" Kale sat up quickly. "Drone?" She nodded and reached behind an old box. She pulled out a small alien-looking orb, half broken, still glowing faintly. Kale's eyes widened. "That's not just a drone. That's a beacon. And if it found you are not normal either." Mira looked at the device. "I found it last week. After a storm, it called to me. I touched it, and I saw something." "What did you see?" Myra hesitated. Her voice softened. "I saw myself running. I haven't walked in years. But in that vision, I ran. I flew." Kale stared at her for a long moment. Then he said, "This changes everything." He stood slowly and moved to the machine. He placed his hand on it. The orb glowed brighter, then projected a hologram, a spinning map of the galaxy, with Earth at the center. "That's not possible," Kale whispered. "Earth was never this important." Mira stood beside him, balancing on her brace. "Maybe they forgot." Kale shook his head. "No, someone erased it." Then the map zoomed in, showing Myra's face. Words flashed in an ancient language. Kale read them out loud. Subject, human. Code, Terra Ascend. Status, incomplete activation. He turned to her, shocked. "You're not just a girl," he said. "You were part of a hidden program. You were never supposed to be normal." Mira looked down at her legs. "But I am." Kale stepped closer. "Not for long." Suddenly, outside, a distant roar. Kale's head snapped toward the sound. "They found me. Which means they'll find you too." Mira's hands shook. "Who's they?" Kale replied, "The ones who want to keep Earth forgotten. The ones who fear what you can become." Narrator. In a basement filled with dust and broken dreams, something new was born. A friendship, a spark, a silent promise, a girl who couldn't walk, an alien who didn't belong. Together, they had found something no one else did, each other, and now the galaxy would never be the same. Narrator voice, third person. The night was silent, but her heart was not. Inside a cold, dusty basement, Mira sat on the floor, staring at her legs. She had stared at them many times before, during surgeries, after falls, in mirrors, but this time they were glowing. Not magic, not a dream. Real light, small blue pulses traveling through the convo. Strange metal brace Kale had built with her. It was alien tech. Connected to her bones, reading her thoughts, listening to her body. She should have been scared. She wasn't, because for the first time in 10 years, she felt something she had forgotten. Strength. Kale, wounded and half-conscious, lay on a table. Nearby, his alien skin looked pale and his energy was fading. But even in pain, he smiled weakly when he looked at her. "I told you," he whispered. "You're not broken." Myra didn't answer. She was busy learning how to stand. She placed her hands on the wall, pushed down. Her legs trembled. The brace lit up. Her muscles burned, but she rose slowly, 1 inch, 2. Then she stood. No wheelchair, no help. Just her. Flashback, narrator voice. She was 6 years old when the accident happened. A fire. A collapse. A scream. She lost her legs, not fully, but enough to never walk again. Doctors said it was over. She believed them. Until now. Back in the basement, Mira took 1 step forward. The floor creaked. Then another step. Her eyes filled with tears. Kale watched her. "That's not just alien tech," he said. "It only works when the body is ready. You were always capable. You just needed." Mira turned to him. "A spark?" Kale nodded. "Yes." Later that night, while Kale rested, Mira opened the beacon device again. The small orb floated above her hand. She whispered, "Why me? Why now?" The orb responded, not in words, but in images. Visions. She saw the galaxy, stars, planets, ships. Then she saw Earth, small and forgotten. Then she saw herself, flying a ship, leading soldiers, holding a strange weapon made of light. Her legs moved freely. She looked strong, confident, unstoppable. Mira gasped, "That's not me." But deep down, she knew it could be. Suddenly crack. A sound from outside. Fast, heavy. Kale sat up. "They're here." Mira looked at him. "Who?" Kale's voice was cold. "Hunters. Sent by the Galactic Union. They track energy spikes. Your activation." It sent a signal. He stood and limped to a locker. Inside was a small weapon, strange, glowing blue. "I hoped we'd have more time," he said. "Guess the galaxy doesn't wait." The front door creaked. Boots. Metallic. Mira froze. Kale tossed her a tiny device. "Press this if they break in." "What does it do?" she asked. "Blows up half the town." She blinked. "That's dramatic," Kale smirked. "Welcome to my world." They hid behind the basement shelves. Heavy footsteps echoed above. Then, a voice. Not human. "Target, Earth human code, Terra Ascend. Confirm location." Mira's heart pounded. Kale whispered, "They don't want to kill you. They want to use you. Or erase you before someone else does." Mira whispered back, "Why?" "Because you're proof. Proof that humans aren't weak. That Earth still matters, and that scares them." Suddenly, a crash. The basement door was kicked open. A tall figure stood in the doorway. Metal armor. Red lights. Its head turned slowly. Mira looked down at the detonator in her hand. Kale whispered, "Don't. Not yet." The hunter stepped forward. Kale leapt out and fired, once, twice. Sparks flew. The hunter fell back but wasn't down. It growled and raised its weapon. Mira didn't run. She didn't hide. She stood, and she shouted, "Leave us alone." The orb in her hand pulsed, violently. Boom. A shockwave of blue light shot from the beacon, throwing the hunter into the wall. Silence. Smoke. Kale stared at her, wide-eyed. "What was that?" Myra looked at her glowing hand. "I don't know." Kale laughed weakly. "That was the spark." Narrator voice. "It was small, one step, one stand, one push of energy. But stars are born from sparks, and Mira had just lit a fire the galaxy could no longer ignore." Narrator voice, third person. "Night didn't feel safe anymore. Not after what Myra did. Not after the hunter hit the wall, and the walls hit back. Now, everything was changing. She had power she didn't understand. A glowing scar on her hand. And somewhere far above Earth, others were watching. The spark was lit. The hunt had begun. 3 days later, Mira and Kale moved through the dark tunnels under the town, long abandoned, half collapsed, filled with rust and memory. "These were built during Earth's old wars," Mira said, pulling her hoodie tighter. "Nobody comes here anymore." Kale looked around. "Good, we'll need every shadow we can find." Mira was walking now, slowly, but without help. The alien brace fused to her spine had fully activated. Her steps were unsure, but her eyes were steady. "Do you think they'll send more?" she asked. Kale didn't answer. He didn't need to. That same night, in orbit above Earth, a sleek, black ship hovered in silence. Inside, 3 hunters stood around a table. A red light blinked. "Earth subject activated beacon. Unauthorized use. Potential breach of Union secrecy." One hunter raised its arm. "Eliminate both targets. Begin total scan of the planet." The ship vanished into the clouds. Back underground. Mira stared at a flickering hologram Kale had pulled from the crashed beacon core. It showed Earth, but not like any map she knew. There were old alien markings, sealed zones, even hidden coordinates buried under the oceans. "This was never just a normal planet," she whispered. Kale nodded. "Your world was one of the first experiments. They tested humans to see if your kind could adapt. And they stopped the program. Or they said they did." Mira looked at her glowing hand. "Then why am I still here?" Kale looked her in the eye. "Because you are the last piece, the part they missed or feared." Suddenly, boom. The ground above shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Kale grabbed Mira's hand. "They found us." Screams echoed through the tunnels, metal hitting metal. Red lights flashing in the dark. Drones swarming like insects. "They're scanning for biosignatures." Kale shouted. Mira pulled open a hidden hatch. "This way, fast." They ran through old pipelines, water dripping from cracked ceilings. Mira's legs ached, but she didn't stop. Behind them, hunters moved fast, not walking, gliding. Kale turned and fired a blue pulse. 1 drone exploded. 2 more flew past. "They're not here to capture anymore," he growled. "They want to erase." They reached an abandoned tech lab. Rusty computers, broken satellite dishes, dust everywhere. "This used to be my dad's," Mira said, before he disappeared. Kale activated a scanner. "It's shielded, we can hide here." For a while. Mira walked to a wall of parts, pulling wires, boards, metal limbs. "I'm not hiding," she said. Kale raised an eyebrow. "Then what are you doing?" "Building." Hours passed. Mira sat on the floor, working. Soldering, coding, testing. Kale watched her, amazed. "You're fast." "My body may have been broken," she said, "but my brain never was." She held up a small device, sleek, silver, shaped like a coin. "What is it?" "Portable EMP pulse," she said. "They chase energy? Let's give them too much." Back above ground, drones circled the area. Hunters moved through the woods like ghosts, target signature weakening. Subject must be underground. One drone found a hatch, opened it. Below, Mira stood in front of a glowing cube. Let's hope this works. She pressed a button. Boom! A burst of white light. No fire. No heat. Just silence. All the drones stopped mid-air, then dropped like stones. Kale looked at her. That's going to make them angry. Mira wiped sweat from her face. Good. Narrator voice. They ran again that night. Farther, deeper, off-grid. But something was different now. Mira wasn't just running. She was learning. She was leading. And across the galaxy, whispers had begun. The human girl is active. She survived the first hunt. She's building something. Somewhere in a distant star system, a hidden rebel outpost picked up the same signal that started it all. A young alien boy listened to the recording, Mira's voice. I saw myself walking. He smiled. She's real. He turned to his captain. We need to help her. The captain nodded. Then prepare the ship. Earth is waking up. Narrator voice. The girl who couldn't walk. The alien who didn't belong. Together, they were hunted. But soon, they would no longer run. Soon, they would rise. And the galaxy would finally hear their names. Asterisk narrator, third person, at the edge of a dying world. A ship took off. It wasn't fast. It wasn't strong. But it carried something the galaxy had forgotten. Hope. Mira stood near the window of this stolen Union scout ship, watching Earth shrink behind her. Her home, her prison, her beginning. Now she was leaving it, not to escape, but to warn the stars. Behind her, Kale sat in the co-pilot seat, checking systems. His wounds were healing. His faith was not. You don't have a plan, he said. Mira turned slowly. Not yet. Kale raised an eyebrow. And that doesn't bother you? It used to, she replied. Not anymore. They jumped to hyperspace. And that's when it began. The rise. In the deep black of space, Mira opened the beacon orb again. The map returned, glowing lines across stars. Dead systems. Old projects. Forgotten outposts. Each marked, Terra Ascend. Terminated. But one had a faint green light. Someone's still alive, Mira whispered. Kale leaned closer. Or still fighting. They changed course. Kale didn't argue this time. He followed her, because something inside him had changed too. She wasn't just a disabled Earth girl anymore. She was becoming a signal. And others were listening. Planet Relin 3, abandoned mining zone. The ship landed on dust and ash. Ruins, broken machines. Sky like smoke, but deep underground. Lights flickered on. Mira and Kale moved carefully through the old tunnels. Then, voices. Not clear, not strong, but human. They entered a chamber full of people. Aliens, hybrids, half-augmented humans. All hiding, surviving, breathing in fear. A small boy pointed at Mira. She's the one from the signal. The room went silent. Then an old woman stepped forward. You woke the network? Mira nodded. I didn't mean to, the woman smiled. That's what heroes always say. The next few days moved fast. Kale repaired old Union COMMs. Mira taught the group how to hide from hunter scans. And word kept spreading. The Earth Girl walks. The forgotten child fights back. She is Terra's spark. One night, Mira stood outside the bunker, looking up at stars. Kale joined her. You didn't ask for this, he said. She replied. No one does. He looked at her differently now, not as weak, not as broken, but as something rising. Soon more ships arrived. A rebel from the ice moons. A hybrid engineer from Mars colonies. A medic who once treated Terra. Soldiers long ago, all of them unwanted. All of them ready. Mira watched them gather. These are not soldiers, Kale said. They don't have to be, Mira replied. They're people who've been thrown away. People like me. Mira built them a symbol, simple. A circle with a broken line through it. The crack is not weakness, she explained. It means we survived the break. They wore it on their clothes, their ships. Their hearts. It became their flag. Then, a warning. A Union ship entered orbit. A transmission. Played on all frequencies. This is the Galactic Union. Surrender. The human girl. This is your only chance. Mira stepped forward. No, she said. And sent her own message. To the stars. To the systems. To the ones hiding. Her broadcast. They called us broken. Unworthy. Forgotten. They said Earth didn't matter, but we are still here. We are the ones they left behind. And now, we're coming back. Across the galaxy. Others heard it. An old war pilot in a scrapyard wiped a tear. A cyborg in a prison cell smiled. A hidden AI activated an ancient protocol marked HFY_01. Humanity fights back. The unwanted. We're waking up. Back on the rebel moon. Kale loaded weapons into their small ship. He looked at Mira. You're really going through with this? She nodded. We're not running anymore. He paused, then smiled. Then let's give them something to fear. Narrator voice. Once, she was just a girl who couldn't walk. Once, he was just a soldier without a name. Now they had a ship, a crew, a cause. They weren't part of the galaxy's plans. So they made their own. Because sometimes, the ones you throw away are the ones who rise the highest. Narrator voice. Third person. History says the galaxy was ruled by the strong. By empires, councils, machines. But history was written by the ones who never expected. Her, the sky above Vyrix Prime, capital of the Galactic Union, was on fire. Ships clashed like insects. Light exploded in every direction. The Council's defenses were failing. And at the center of the battle, flying a ship with patched metal and human scars, was Mira. She wasn't supposed to be here. She wasn't supposed to stand. Wasn't supposed to fight. Wasn't supposed to survive. But Mira never cared much for what the galaxy said she couldn't do. Inside the ship, Kale sat at weapons control. His silver eyes burned with focus. We're outnumbered 10-1, he said. Mira didn't flinch. That's better odds than last time, Kale laughed. You really are human. They weren't alone. Hundreds of small ships flew beside them, a mix of forgotten humans, hybrids, broken machines, defected aliens, the unwanted fleet. Each ship had the same symbol, a broken line. Through a circle, Mira's symbol. Their symbol. The Galactic Council watched the battle from a high tower. Cold faces. Ancient laws. She is just one girl, one leader said. No, another replied. She's the match. And we're standing in the fire. Back in space, Mira's ship took a hit. Smoke filled the cockpit, shields down. Kale shouted. Mira gritted her teeth. Then we land. She dove toward the surface, past towers, defenses. Drones. Straight into the heart of the enemy. They crashed through the council gates. Dust flew. Alarms screamed. Mira stepped out first. Armor cracked, hands glowing, back straight. The girl who couldn't walk. Now walking through the front doors of power. Behind her came Kale. And dozens more. Not trained soldiers. Just survivors. But that was enough. Inside. Guards raised weapons. Mira raised her hand. The beacon pulsed. Boom. A shockwave knocked them down. But didn't kill. She didn't come to destroy. She came to speak. In the council hall, she stood on the center floor. Above her, the leaders stared down. You broke our laws. One said. You broke your promises, she replied. This galaxy was never yours alone. She turned and opened a hologram, showing planets marked terminated. Earth, Mars, the arc moons, forgotten programs. You erased people. Whole histories. You hid Earth from its future. You were weak, a voice growled. No. Mira said, stepping forward. We were ignored. That's not the same. Suddenly, a council commander stepped from the shadows, weapon aimed at her chest. Enough talk, he barked. This ends now. Kale moved to stop him, but he was too far. The commander fired, but the shot never hit. Shield appeared. Around Mira. It wasn't tech. It was her, the final stage of the beacon's power, not a weapon. A protector. The crowd gasped. Kale whispered. She's become it. Mira opened her eyes, glowing now, soft and blue. Earth wasn't a failure, she said. It was a seed. You just didn't wait long enough. The council chamber trembled. Not from bombs. From voices. Rebel ships were landing. Civilians were marching. All across the galaxy, systems were rising. They had seen her message. And now, they were ready to change everything. The council surrendered that day. Not to war. To truth. Weeks later, Mira stood on a stage above the ruins of the old council tower. Kale stood beside her, still quiet, still loyal. The crowd stretched for miles. Humans, aliens, hybrids, machines. All of them, once unwanted, now chosen. Mira spoke into the wind. They told us we were broken, weak, less, but they forgot something. The forgotten don't stay quiet forever. And the ones you push down, they rise. Narrator voice. She couldn't walk. He didn't belong. Together, they changed everything. Not just for Earth, but for all the voices the galaxy tried to silence. And from that day on, history was rewritten. Not by empires. But by the ones who were never meant to survive.